need to be called off in this country before we do something. And it's just not good enough. What is going on? I don't know who the onus lies with. You can't afford it and they're not going to fund it. Just
don't
take
do any
them,
at all.
don't have them. Someone needs to be held responsible. Maybe we need to think about that. It's just embarrassing. Why was it there to start with? Why was it as a dead 4 when it was actually a dead 5 or close to a dead 6? I don't know the answer, but just fix it. And there will be an issue. There will be issues. There will be repercussions from it. We've just got poor systems in place. We're a laughing stock at the moment.
So we've had our issues, haven't we, with tracks over the last couple of months, with Wingatui abandoned again on Saturday after Sent Home fell in the first. Thankfully, the horse and rider Lee Callaway walked away okay. Now, a delegation of riders after that inspected the track, including the 4 that stayed up in the first, and also David Walsh, and along with other officials as well. They inspected the track, and it was decided that in consultation with the JCA that stipendiary steward Mark Davison would abandon the meeting. So this has happened for the second time at Wingatui in the space of just a couple of weeks. To discuss this, we've got the CEO of NZTR with us, Greg Purcell. Greg, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Darryl.
Just to clarify things, first of all, the clubs employ the track managers. NZTR employ a national venue inspector to inspect and give tracks, for want of a better phrase, a warrant of fitness to make sure that they are safe to be ridden on. So my first question, I guess, is what has NZTR done since White Robe Lodge Stakes Day to address this issue?
Okay, so with the abandonment on the 31st of January, we've worked with the Otago Racing Club and the RIU to assist the club in every endeavour to provide a good 3 racing service on Saturday. So
has the National Venue Inspector been down to the track?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had the National Venue Inspector, we've done a full report and review in relation to that, and the club's implemented a number of issues, including coring and some areas of dethatching to the track. And they're continuing to work at the track.
Okay, so is this, I mean, a lot of people are saying, well, there was moisture around and the rain or the weather conditions were to blame again. The track, are you confident that that track on any normal day is up to a suitable standard and safe to ride on?
I've got full confidence in Wayne, the course curator and racecourse manager there, and clearly there was a decision made which NZTR supports by the JCA to abandon the meeting after the first. You know, as you can see, you know, we do not want to place in jeopardy any jockeys, horses or people. So, you know, I'm happy with the decision. Until we actually complete a review, we've got our venue inspector going to the track on Thursday. We've had Nigel McIntyre, the co-chairman of stewards, inspect the track today. We've also got our general manager of racing attending the meeting on Thursday with the club, and from there we will review what the position is at the track and determine whether or not to proceed with the next meeting at Wingatui. At the moment, I think it's fair to say that the club is struggling to maintain the confidence of some jockeys and participants, and it's something that we all need to rectify.
Mr. Purcell, Paul Shaler speaking.
Yeah, Paul.
After the review of the last meeting, and you say you're satisfied with the job that Mr. Stevenson's doing, is it going to be a result of just the Wingatui track is just not up to standard for just the track itself? It's unfixable?
Well, you're making assumptions. I was actually at Castle Point races on Saturday, and you know, I was 1,200 metres, 1,200 kilometres from the race meeting. So until we actually do a report and actually understand what's actually happened on the weekend, which is in all likelihood very different to what happened at the previous incident on the 21st of January. And once we know whether it is the same issue or different issues, we can then actually positively move forward. So we can let me just go through some misconceptions that we have. So on Friday afternoon, the track was inspected by Mark Davidson, the chairman of stewards. He was actually very pleased and happy with the condition of the track. At 7:30 on Saturday morning, the race club organised 2 horses to be galloped over 1,000 metres across around the course proper, and by 1 senior jockey and 1 former jockey. And that report, the steward was in attendance for that workout, and with the club officials, and the jockeys came back outlining that there was a beautiful surface and that the track was presented somewhere between a good 3 and a dead 4 at that point in time. So both the stewards and the clubs on Saturday morning at that time went forward with an expectation of actually an outstanding surface. We had in the first race an incident in the 2-year-old race where a horse clearly clipped the heels of a horse in front, and clearly after that was unbalanced and fell. And there's been clearly work undertaken to establish whether or not that slip was a result of the track or otherwise. Nigel McIntyre, the co-chairman of stewards of the RIU, has actually been at the course today taking photographs and inspecting the track. All the evidence that he's compiled so far shows only positive movement in slippage, which is not unexpected, that there was no lateral movement in slippage. So actually, until we actually understand what has happened at the track in that particular instance and circumstance, we really don't, it's no good speculating. So
Greg, Aidan Roper here. Just obviously the perception's not good, obviously, at the moment with regards to that track. What does NZTR do to rectify that?
I think it's up to the club and working with the RIU and NZTR to rectify these issues. We've got to regain the confidence of the jockeys and participants in the Wingatui track, and that's because we'll need to actually undertake barrier trials, track work, a whole series of issues to ensure that there is confidence in the track. We've got technical reporting going on, assessments of an audit of the irrigation system, which has been very much under stress during the period of the current drought. It's been adequate, but it's something we may well need to improve. There's consideration of potential sand slitting of the track surface to look to mediate some of the issues with the track surface, and also the normal works that would be undertaken with the application of gypsum and others, which are done as a normal remediation work. So those things are all under control. I think it's important to realise that Wayne Stevenson is actually a very hard-working and dedicated, absolutely committed man. He's actually worked 11 years in this role. He was a former jockey, so he's the last person that wants to put horses or jockeys at risk on his course. And he's a very proud man, and he's absolutely gutted by what's happened on Saturday, and also particularly following on from the 31st of January. So we're going to leave no stone unturned to ensure that when we resume racing at Wingatui, we do so in the most safe possible manner.
Greg, just reading the reports in the papers today, they're saying that the decision actually went to the JCA whether to abandon or not. Is it rare that the stipendiary stewards will ask the JCA for a decision on whether a meeting gets abandoned or not?
Well, I think there's been, within relation to Saturday, there was actually some disagreement with the views between people, and there were some of our leading trainers actually thought that the track was actually that the races should have proceeded. Some of the jockeys and senior jockeys were clearly concerned, and on that basis, I'm very satisfied with the decision by the stewards to refer the matter to the JCA, and I understand that the stewards recommended that the race meeting should be abandoned. So that was what occurred. I believe that is appropriate in the circumstances, the last thing we want to do is place jockeys in a situation where they're compelled to ride when they don't want to. So racing safety is paramount, and we have full respect for the jockeys that made that decision not to ride.
Mr. Purcell, I just want to make it clear that there's no way that we are making a personal attack at the Wingatui track manager down there or any track manager in general. All we want is the safety of all participants, that's all. I'm not suggesting that Wayne doesn't do a good job or he's not up to standard.
Yeah, that's fine, and I think, I mean, the reality is that every race club, committee person, employee, every NZTR employee, every RIU employee, the JCA and the participants at large all share that view. So I think there's harmony in what we want to achieve, and sometimes there's a difference of view of how that can be achieved.
So you can give us some sort of guarantee that there'll be no further racing at Wingatui until such reports have been read and acted upon?
So on Thursday there'll be an inspection of the track with those parties, and a decision will be made whether or not to continue with the race meeting at Beaumont shortly thereafter. That announcement will be made for the Beaumont meeting coming up in a couple of weeks' time, and whether we bring forward some of the remediation works that are currently under consideration.
We're a little bit out of time today, but really appreciate you coming on Weigh In tonight.
No problem, Stoll.
All right, CEO of NZTR, Greg Purcell, but whilst there is support for clubs and stuff, I mean the cost to owners and trainers and riders and others, if this is ongoing, is crippling us, I believe. Anyway, you'll have plenty to say about this, and we'll give you those social media channels a little bit later on. Let's quickly touch on Australia. Thought Twiggy Maygrove, not too bad, first up in Oz.
Yeah, he was super, wasn't he? For a horse that doesn't like going that way around, he attacked the line good and wasn't beaten far, and heading towards the Sydney Cup. He's on target, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a Wellington Cup winner who's back in distance. You only want to see him step up more after this. I thought it was a really encouraging run.
Really good.
First up in Sydney this time around.
So I think he's got one more run, hasn't he, into the Sydney Cup?
Two more, the Mannion Cup and then the Chairman's Handicap, and then into the Sydney Cup from there. So he'll be spot on. The Baker team going pretty well both sides of the Tasman.
He'll need to be.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
What did you think of Sacred Falls fresh up? Obviously the winner was pretty good, but Sacred Falls, he was okay.
Yeah, he was good, wasn't he? I mean, we won a Chris Wallace horses. They don't win fresh, very, very rarely do they do so. And although he's a stallion, I would imagine he'll take a couple, 2-3 runs to get into his prep, and he'll be peaking on the day at the right time.
It's always the way, isn't it, with Chris Waller? The big day matters, and this one really didn't matter, but it'll be a tune-up that I think they'll be pretty satisfied with.
Yeah, he's only touched him once with the stick behind the saddle, hands and heels to the line, been beaten 3 lengths. Big improver out of the race.
Yep, one of 4 winners there for Gay Waterhouse. In Melbourne, the Australian Guineas was taken out by Wangina. The favourite Kermadec. Gee, I'm not sure this is Nash's best ride, to be fair.
Wasn't pretty, was it? I'm his biggest fan, but wow, that was ugly. The winner, you can't take any away from the winner though. He's had a big campaign, a big career so far for a 3-year-old. He raced in the Cox Plate, and geez, he's just turned his form around. He's led and strong on the line. Yeah, he's going great guns, and I think that is Gay's first winner in Melbourne since in Melbourne Cup winner.
Yeah, that's fair to say. So
unbelievable stat,
really stretched out beautifully in the closing stages. Well, the top of the straight is a sitting duck, isn't he? With such a big field just ready to pounce, and he's kicked and found too much.
Second horse got home last 632 and change. Pretty good effort as well. All right, just before we wrap up the show, I know he's not here today, but we've still got the hook. Here's Butch.
The Butcher's Hook this week will take a look at the judicial inconsistencies here at Ellerslie over the past couple of race meetings. Wednesday in the Sunline Vars, we saw a change of placings, 5th versus 4th, between Consensus and Gin Swing after alleged interference at the top of the straight. Fast forward to Saturday, and in the running of the Ronald McDonald House Charities New Zealand Stakes, similar interference took place between Rising Romance and Saki's Soldier. They fought a battle to the line. Saki's Soldier had a nose margin. That was the very same margin as in the Sunline Vars. In the Sunline Vars, the placings were changed, 5th versus 4th, but in the New Zealand Stakes, no change in placings. The inconsistency comes about and staggers people. Look, Wednesday was a surprise to many, but once that had been set in stone, it appeared that Saturday would likely change, given we had the same chairman of the JCA. The Stipes were consistent in their approach in both inquiries. In their summing up, they suggested that they didn't believe that in either inquiry there was enough interference to change the placings. They changed the placings on Wednesday. The JCA, with a similar chairman, didn't change the placings on Saturday. When you look at the interference and the nose margin on both occurrences, you might argue a case that if Wednesday's changed, why didn't Saturday's?
Exactly, and something we've discussed already, and I'm sure something that you've got a thought on too, and you can contact us via facebook.com/weigh-in-show, at Twitter, at weigh-in-show on Twitter, and weigh-in at nzracingboard.co.nz should you wish to give us your opinion or comments on that, or anything else that you have heard or seen on the show today. Aidan, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, exactly, and it's been an entertaining thing, isn't it? Both the tracks issue and then also the issue with the JCA. All we want is the next one, do we get it right? And it's all about consumer confidence. As long as we've got the consumer confidence that we get it right next time, then hopefully everyone's happy.
Consistency.
Yeah, even if they get it wrong. But if they get it wrong consistently, then at least we all know where we are.
Indeed. All right, thanks for coming in, Twiggy. We'll catch you next week.
Yep, thank you.
All right, thanks to Sam Williams, Rick Williams, and also Greg Purcell for being on the program as well. We'll catch you in 7 days.